If you can recall back to season 1 of the off-season, we bought a piece of ground we called the 240 property and gave it a complete makeover, turning it into a great hunting property. Well, it's the goal once again, just on a bigger scale, and this time we are in Maryland. The tract is over 1,000 acres of pines and hardwood draws, just waiting to become a hunter's and land manager's dream.
Well, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the off season. You know, most of our episodes you see us back home on our home farm, creating habitat and going over management tips and practices. But today we're heading down to a piece of property we picked up in Maryland. We just picked it up really this spring. Dad was down there initially to walk the property and absolutely loved it. And we decided to make the decision to buy this piece of property. And like I said, I've never been down to it, so I'm super excited to get down here and see it. And what he's told me is, you know, we got a decent amount of big draws in timber like back home in PA, but 3/4 of the property is just a big pine plantation. So it's something totally new to us, new habitat that we're not used to. So you know, we're excited to see what happens this year.
All right, so we have 2 days, maybe 2.5 days. Like to get posted signs put up on most of the perimeter of the property to let them know we're here now. The leases are gone. And then out front, we got a new chain and a lock for that gate. We had to cut our way in today, but we'll get that fixed up. I want to go around to those 2 little leafs that we bought off the property on the sides, those chunks, and look at those new entrances from that way, the right-of-ways to get into the property from the sides there. Put out the feeders. You know, I've been studying onX a good bit, trying to figure out where we want to put the feeders, and we'll take a look and see if it looks like it's going to work. Now that we got boots on the ground here, but get the feeders out, get the cameras out on them, get some cameras in some other ideal spots, some pinch points, some of these hardwood bottoms. Lots to do in a couple days. I mean, Austin's first visit here, so we just want to get out and show you the farm a little bit. It's going to be a fun few years getting to work this piece over and make it into something really special down
It'll
there.
be nice.
Let's go.
The big deer here.
Well, we got here and we just did the preliminary drive around the borders of the property because I'd been down here, but Austin's never seen the farm, that I'd never been back into this section. We don't physically own the fields here. We have the border of all this agriculture here, and we have a right-of-way access to it back here. It looks like it's gonna be a beautiful location for scouting. All these ag fields this year, looks like he has it in beans. We walk back into timber a little bit. There's a hardwood draw that comes up through the pines. We're gonna get a feeder back in there hopefully today, get some cameras set up, and can't wait to get back down here and scout all these beans. I mean, we're just surrounded with beans, and we have so much edge cover on this property in here. It's just a matter of finding the right trails where those bucks are coming out.
We're in. Watch your hands. Well, after an interesting ride down into this bottom, we're finally in here. Dad and Rob are over there sort of checking some trails out, looking at some stuff. But today, our main focus is going to be getting all these feeders out. We have 5 feeders. This is going to be the first location. down in this big old creek bottom. You know, up above us, really on all sides of us, is pines, thick pines, super thick bedding area. Should be perfect. Feeder number 1. Well, hey guys, I know you just saw Dad out there in the road putting posters up, and the plan was for him to do that while Tyler and I went to get feed, but a little bit of a change of plans now since everything's closed, and the closest feed mill from that is another 40 miles down the road. We decided to, for today, we're gonna dig into these big hard bottoms, put cameras up, maybe a couple more mineral sites, just really learn the property, look for some sign. And then tomorrow we'll go get corn, load the feeders up, and hopefully get out of here in a reasonable time tomorrow. Okay guys, so we just sort of came down into the first bottom close to where we started up on top by the trucks, and it's thick, super thick. These deer are definitely bedding down in here, and we actually stumbled upon a tree stand, big box blind right here. This is where they probably had a feeder or a mineral site or something, but it just makes sense. You know, we have pines all around us, and this is the opening to this big hardwood bottom, and then it's just super thick behind us here. So they're definitely bedding right here. So we're gonna get a mineral site in the ground right here, put a camera up, and move on, see what else we can find.
You guys are going over here.
Yeah.
Walk this.
Yeah, I want to walk.
I'm gonna go into this.
Well guys, it's our last day here in Maryland, sort of our last step to initially setting this property up. We got the feeders out, tons of cameras, walked all these big hardwood bottoms, found tons of sign. Definitely exciting. And you know, there's a ton of potential here, but the last thing to do is fill the feeders, then we can get the heck out of here.
I'd say that's a successful couple days, and the Bearded Buck Maryland camp is sort of officially open. You know, we set out on a couple goals for the last 3 days, and I think we sort of overachieved
Yeah,
them.
I mean, we sort of went separate ways for the last 3 days, but I think we found a lot of...
We basically killed 6 days here in 3 days going different
Yeah.
directions. We got the feeders out, we got the perimeter posted, we got mineral sites out.
Yep.
We learned a lot of the property, actually.
Learned a lot, found tons of sign, and the potential, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's through the roof.
We say a diamond in the rough. This one really is sort of a diamond already. I mean, it's got a lot of positives to it.
If we implement some of our, food plot strategies and management strategies from back home here, it's just going to be incredible.
That's a wrap. We're waiting on a storage container to get in here so we can unpack all the supplies we brought down to leave here, so we're not having to bring everything down each time. But other than that,
hopefully we can bring you guys episode 2 and 3. Hopefully episode 2 is coming down here, finding tons of bucks hanging tree stands and
getting some food plots put in.
Yeah.
So there's lots to come on this Maryland track.
We're all settled into the stand here for this afternoon's sit, and we're back in an archery set that I put in early season. The acorns were dropping back then, and the acorns are dropping now. They haven't been hitting corn. We're hoping they make the transition back from acorns to corn and feed their way through here. We had a decent mature 6-point, a nice 8-point on camera here about 2 weeks ago, so you know, we're still starting from scratch on this property, so no better place to start than the stand we already had on.
Each time I took a trip down to our Maryland property during deer season, it seemed the bucks were one step ahead of us. But that is expected in our situation. This was the first year putting boots on the ground, and I can say we truly learned a lot from our time there. Like anywhere else, it's going to take some time, both working in the off-season and sitting in the stand, in order to fully understand these deer and their behavior in this altogether new terrain and habitat. Austin and I have quite the challenge ahead of us, but it's one we couldn't be more excited about. Stay tuned for future episodes just like this one, showing our journey with this brand new property and how we intend to turn it into a hunter's dream. As always, thanks for watching another episode of The Off Season.